Alright, what's up everybody? So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at just an absolute sleeper microphone. This is something that not a lot of people know about, but I guarantee that after you finish this video, you will be interested in it and want to pick one up for yourself. Now, this is a microphone that oftentimes can be had for sub $100, and no, the budget price point isn't what makes this microphone beautiful, it's the sound. The sound behind this thing is incredible for what you end up paying. This thing sounds almost like a U87 AI. You heard that right, a sub $100 microphone that sounds similar to a $3,200 microphone. We're gonna get more into that here in a little bit. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. Now, before I start this video, let me go ahead and break down some of the settings that I am running in order to get the sound that you are currently listening to right now. So as most of you already know, I always record my audio so that it's going into the DAW around -22 to -24 LUFS short term. I find that that gives me the best signal to noise ratio and just the overall most healthiest signal that I can get into the DAW before I start doing my processing. And as for post-processing, it's very simple. I usually just run a limiter, a little bit of compression, a little bit of EQ, and a de-esser. So really not a lot that goes into getting the audio that you're listening to right now. It's pretty simple for the most part. And that's usually how I like to keep it, just very simple and straight to the point, because I want people to really hear this microphone for what it is. I don't like doing a ton of EQ on a microphone, because then at that point it really does take away from what you're supposed to be hearing, which is how the microphone sounds to begin with. And as far as dynamics, me using a compressor and a limiter really is not going to change the sound too much to where, you know, it's misleading. So just wanted to share that with you guys, because a lot of people ask me, you know, what is my post-processing chain, and it's very simple. And for anybody who's wondering if I'm using a external preamp or just my audio interface, I am just using the Audient ID14 Mark II, so I'm not running it through any analog equipment. This is just microphone into audio interface. Okay, now let's start covering some of the specs on this microphone that make it so special, but at the same time I also want to be honest with you guys and display some of its downfalls, because trust me, it does have some things about it that I just do not like. First off, let's just cover some of its physical features, because this thing is built like an absolute tank at the end of the day. It's built from an all-metal construction, so this thing feels like it can take an absolute beating. I swear, you could probably take this thing and throw it on the floor as hard as you want, and it would still function. The mesh metal grill on this microphone feels very sturdy. You could pinch this thing as hard as you can, and I guarantee there'll be no give to it. There's a lot of microphones out there that, regardless of the price, if you were to drop the microphone or drop something into the microphone, the grill on it would dent very easily. I know my TLM 103 was one of them. I dropped something that literally weighed nothing into the grill on accident one time, and it left a massive dent in it. So at least with this microphone, the Perception 100, you can rest easy knowing that the capsule inside is protected by the mesh metal grill, so no issues with that. Moving along, this microphone has an all silver appearance with the black and silver AKG logo stamped in the middle with the words Perception 100 written below it. This thing just has a very beautiful look to it. I love the way that this microphone looks. And on top of that, like we've already discussed, this microphone is just built with amazing construction. You can rest easy at night knowing that this microphone is built like an absolute tank and is here for the long haul. Besides the way this microphone looks, as you can already tell from just listening to the audio from this video, this microphone sounds amazing. Now, if you're to look at the frequency response behind this microphone, it's very similar to the U87 AI. Now, there are plenty of other videos already out there comparing this microphone to the U87 AI, so I kind of want to stay away from that subject in this video, but I will leave some of those videos linked down below, so if you want to go and see this microphone stacked side by side with the U87 AI. One thing that surprised me about the Perception 100 was its sensitivity. I was expecting that when I went to plug this microphone into my audio interface that I would need to use a lot more gain on this microphone than I would say with the Rode NT1, but as it turns out, it's about the same. I don't really have to use much more gain with this microphone than I would with the Rode NT1. And everybody already knows that sensitivity with the Rode NT1 is one of its biggest pros, that with that microphone, you don't have to use a whole lot of gain on your audio interface. Now, as I was saying, I was expecting that with the Perception 100 that I would have to use a lot more gain than I would the NT1. And it turns out it's really not that much different. Right now on the audio interface, I have my preamp set to right around 2:30 to 3 o'clock on the gain dial. That's not much higher than I would have with the Rode NT1. With the Rode NT1, I could keep that somewhere around 1 to 2 o'clock and get the exact same level that I'm getting right now into my DAW. So that kind of shocked me a little bit. It's not a crazy difference in the amount of gain that I have to use with my audio interface. And that's a pro in my book. The least amount of gain that we use with the audio interface, the better signal to noise ratio that we end up capturing in our recording. One other thing that I wanted to cover with this microphone is its sibilance. I was expecting that this microphone would have just as, if not even more sibilance than the Rode NT1, which is its biggest drawback in my opinion with the NT1. This microphone is just really sibilant. I was expecting that the Perception 100 would be no different. I was expecting there to be some sibilance in that it would struggle just like the Rode NT1. But surprisingly, that's not the case. This microphone handles sibilance so much better than the NT1. I'm not sure why, because the frequency responses between this microphone and the NT1 are pretty much identical. This microphone, for whatever reason, just does so much better with handling sibilance. It's not a big issue like it would be with the Rode NT1. I find that when I'm using my de-esser in post with the Perception 100, I don't have to use as much as I would with the NT1, which is a bonus to me and makes me want to record just as much with the Perception 100. Regardless of what I'm about to say next, which is its biggest drawback and something that you need to keep in mind if you go to record with this microphone. This microphone, the Perception 100, has nothing on the Rode NT1 when it comes to self noise. This microphone has about 4 to 5 times louder self noise than the Rode NT1. So if you had both of these plugged in and they were both recording the exact same signal, this microphone would have issues with self noise, that underlying hiss that is captured in the background in your recordings, than the Rode NT1. This microphone does so much better in that regards than the Perception 100. And for that reason, that's why I choose to use the Rode NT1 as my vocal microphone, because this microphone has no issues with self noise. It still captures a very beautiful tone. I love the way that this microphone sounds. And at the same time, it has better sensitivity than the Perception 100. The thing that the Perception 100 has going for itself is its budget price point. It still captures a very beautiful sound, a nice airy, bright tone, but at the same time, not struggling with sibilance, again, like the Rode NT1 would. It just has horrible self noise. This microphone is way louder in that aspect than the Rode NT1. Now, I've talked about this before, but sibilance really should not be a deal breaker when it comes to looking for a microphone. And, take that with a grain of salt, of course. The Rode NT1, while it does have sibilance, it's not like it's horrible. It's the worst thing ever. It's there, and there are ways to get around it, and that's why for me, sibilance really isn't a deal breaker, but self noise absolutely is. There's really no way of getting rid of that. That is something that is going to be inherent in the recording just from the fact that the microphone is noisy. That's one of the biggest reasons why I don't really like the AT2020, because that is a very noisy microphone. In fact, I think it's actually noisier than the Perception 100. And the NT1, the beauty of it, it's just so quiet. There is no chance that you're going to record any of that in your recording. It's actually quieter than the TLM-103, and that's something that everybody always talks about when it comes to the TLM-103. It has really good self noise performance, and same deal with the NT1. For me, it's enough to the point where this is not going to be my go-to microphone. I won't sell it. I will never get rid of it because I love this thing and I think it's still very special regardless of the fact that it is a noisy microphone. And at that point, I'm just gonna use the NT1 as my go-to daily microphone. Anyways, guys, I think that's about it. I just wanted to share with you guys the Perception 100. I've made a video in the past on this microphone and it did pretty well, and you guys seem to really enjoy that video on this microphone. So I thought I would do it again. Why not revisit the Perception 100 and show it some love that I think it deserves? So let me know, what do you think of this microphone, the Perception 100? Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up. If you haven't already yet, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon beside it so that you could stay notified for whenever I drop any of my upcoming videos. With that being said, I will see you all in my next one. Take care, everybody. Peace out.